Today, we're diving straight into the immense psychological relief you find in Japanese grammar when you realize an action is simply not required. Learning a language is so often consumed with memorizing rules about what you absolutely must do, but true fluency requires knowing how to communicate what's entirely unnecessary. In this explainer, we're looking at a specific linguistic tool that acts as a pressure release valve in daily life. It's a structure that lets speakers effortlessly lift burdens, clear up schedules, and set incredibly clear boundaries. By the time we wrap up, you're going to understand exactly how to take a rigid expectation and transform it into a liberating option.
The key to unlocking all of this freedom lies in the Japanese phrase, nakute mo ii desu. Whenever you attach this specific structure to a verb, it signals to everyone involved that there's absolutely no problem if a certain action is skipped altogether. It carries the exact same weight as the English concepts of not having to do something or pointing out that an action is just not necessary. Navigating Japanese society heavily relies on this phrase, mainly because it softens rigid expectations and beautifully communicates that a strict obligation just doesn't exist. It's honestly a brilliant conversational tool that provides both you and the listener with a profound sense of flexibility and relief.
Section 1. Constructing the phrase. Let's look at the mechanical rules required to properly build this specific grammatical structure.
Building this expression follows a highly reliable and, honestly, really satisfying three-step formula. First, you just locate your target verb in its plain negative form, which naturally ends with the character nai. This sets up the base concept that an action isn't happening. The second step is a quick mechanical adjustment, where you simply drop that final I character from the word nai, stripping it down to the structural stem na. For the third and final step, you take the phrase nakute mo ii desu and lock it directly onto that newly modified stem. This exact sequence works like a master key, instantly modifying almost any standard verb you encounter to express a complete lack of obligation.
We can actually watch this transformation happen right now with the Japanese verb for eating. Look at the simple negative form tabenai. It's a very direct and factual statement, meaning do not eat. To evolve this from a flat declaration into a statement of permission, we run our three steps. We take tabenai, we drop the final I character, leaving tabena, and then we attach our structural phrase to build the final form tabenakute mo ii desu. In an instant, the meaning shifts entirely from a factual reality about not eating to a liberating declaration that eating is simply not required. You don't have to eat.
The real beauty of this pattern is its consistency, and we can see that clearly by applying it to the action of going. Starting with the plain negative form ikanai, meaning do not go, we apply the exact same rule. Drop the I character at the end to create the stem ikana, and seamlessly append nakute mo ii desu to arrive at the fully constructed ikanakute mo ii desu. Just think of the absolute relief of realizing you don't have to attend a boring event. Well, that's exactly what this upgrade achieves. A basic negative statement gets elevated into a complex expression of permission, formally letting someone know that the act of going is completely unnecessary.
Section 2. Real-world examples. Now we'll transition into applying this newly constructed grammar within complete, everyday sentences.
Imagine the sheer joy of waking up to a surprise day off from school. In Japanese, you'd express that total relief by saying watashi wa kyou gakko e ikanakute mo ii desu. Notice how naturally the sentence builds toward that final release of obligation. It begins by establishing the speaker, moves into the time frame of today, pinpoints the destination of school, and then anchors the entire thought with our modified verb ikanakute mo ii desu. The thought flows perfectly from who to when to where before culminating in the incredibly satisfying conclusion that the journey itself is just not required today.
Now, this grammatical tool is just as powerful when you're extending that gift of relief to someone else, like giving a friend the chance to sleep in. Consider the sentence, Taro wa ashita hayaku okinakute mo ii desu, meaning Taro doesn't have to wake up early tomorrow. We establish Taro as our subject and tomorrow as our time frame. The adverb for early leads us right into the verb root for waking up, which has been transformed using our reliable formula into okinakute mo ii desu. By placing this at the very end of the thought, you effectively erase the pressure from Taro and generously clear his morning schedule.
From a cultural standpoint, this structure is the ultimate polite mechanism for relieving a colleague or friend of a particularly burdensome task, like maybe reading a really dense book. The phrase "anata wa kono hon o yomanakute mo ii desu" directs the message gently at the listener. The object of dread, this book, is identified right away, and the sentence naturally resolves with the verb for reading fully modified into yomanakute mo ii desu. This is an incredibly thoughtful way to communicate in Japanese. You aren't issuing a command, but rather clearly letting someone know that they're entirely free from the burden of completing a specific task. Knowing exactly how to articulate what you don't have to do offers immense freedom and cultural nuance when you're communicating in Japanese. By adopting this simple three-step process, you gain the absolute power to manage personal obligations, set healthy boundaries, and offer profound relief to those around you. The logic is remarkably consistent and ready to be seamlessly applied to absolutely any action you encounter. So take a moment to reflect on your own daily routines, analyze the demands on your schedule, and ask yourself, what unnecessary actions are you going to confidently cross off your list today?